I think what it probably takes is for SAARC to really look at these topics with renewed vigor and earnestness, because I think there is no subcontinent more vulnerable to climate change than the South Asia region. So what it will take is a really commitment on behalf of all the governments. First of all, to build on what is already done. For example, in Colombo in 2008, there were initiatives made to set up this disaster risk reduction and management response center in New Delhi, which is excellent. And I think they should build on that. I mean, when, for example, the earthquake happened here in Nepal last year, the international community and even other SAARC countries were very quick to come with help. But the big absentee, I think, was SAARC as such. I mean, we never really heard what this center in Delhi, how they became involved and how. So I think there are lots of questions that remains to be answered. I think, of course, that is looking at disaster risk reduction, is looking at the symptoms. I think we should also look at the causes of climate change and these disasters. And there, I think we need to follow up in earnest on the Paris Agreement and really put in place renewable energy and look at how we can fight climate change and also prepare people who are really exposed to it, for example, farmers in the Himalayas or in Bangladesh, to be able to adapt to it. So there are these two issues that also need to be taken into account. I think it's a huge, huge effort. It will take years probably to get somewhere, but we cannot be complacent, and I think the EU also has a responsibility, being one of, historically having contributed much more to these carbon emissions. So it's also on our shoulders to help and find solutions. Every citizen, whether it's in Europe or in South Asia, also have to bear personal responsibility in terms of looking at the impact of climate change. And it's very difficult, but I think all little bits count. For example, if people can install solar panels or try to look at more sustainable ways of transport or being more aware in their own households, I think that would also go a long way. I could give many examples of how, for example, in Europe this has been a success, but I think this awareness also should be disseminated here in South Asia, and it should start also at the level of the schools so that school children become aware. For example, in the Kathmandu Valley, if we talk about pollution, it's one of the most polluted cities in the world in terms of air pollution, but then there is also a waste management problem, there is plastic everywhere. And that shouldn't be too difficult to tackle. It's much more an idea of personal responsibility and awareness. So I think there also there's a lot that needs to be done. Many mechanisms are in place. The obvious one is, of course, the South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation. The European Union being a regional cooperation itself, a regional organization, we've committed ourselves to work with SAARC and to help SAARC, because regional integration will benefit everybody here in the region. And there are challenges, but I think ways in which to reinvigorate the SAARC process should be on the agenda, to see whether we can benefit from what has already happened and to build on that. The media has a very important role to play, especially in, again, creating awareness, in disseminating certain important messages. And we see, for example, here in Nepal, the important role that, for example, FM radio stations have played, especially after the earthquake. Yesterday, I just had a meeting with BBC Media Action, and they were very present. They started broadcasting on the day of the earthquake itself to help to tell people what to do and how to best deal with this disaster. And I think this is, so the media have a very, very important task at hand. And also, of course, the larger implications of what it will mean if countries continue to bear the brunt of climate change. So that's why I think we wanted to also make this a media event and invite journalists from across South Asia so that they can get together and exchange ideas.